Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Frankie W and welcome to my life. So for this video, I've decided to do everything I watched in 2022 just as a starter, so then I can do everything I watched in January, February, March, all the way up into 2024. But yes, I actually got a degree in filmmaking, and I haven't really talked about films, movies, anything like that on my channel, so I wanted to start doing videos like this. So this is everything I watched in 2022. We're gonna break it down by each month just because I'm gonna be talking a lot, so I'll take breaks in between. But we'll start with January. In January 2022, I watched 14 movies. I think a good preface or like background information for January is that I was studying abroad with semester at sea, so I was on a ship with no internet, and then I was also taking a documentary film as a liberal arts class, so I watched a lot of documentary films this month. We started January with A Quiet Place 2. I watched that on the plane, and then everything else is pretty much on the ship. So King Otto, 180 Degrees South, Free Solo, Roadrunner, Promises, Jumanji: The Next Level, Mamma Mia, 10 Things I Hate About You, Into the Spider-Verse, Totally Spies the movie, Amy, the Amy Winehouse documentary, Dark Phoenix, Birds of Prey, and Men in Black International. If I had to pick a favorite from the month, I'd probably pick either A Quiet Place 2 or 10 Things I Hate About You, just because I love 10 Things I Hate About You. It's one of my favorite movies. Next month is February. In the month of February, I watched 8 movies, and it started in Malta, I believe. That's where I saw Scream 2022 with Charlie and Juliet. Then we saw, literally the next day, Spider-Man No Way Home. And then one of my assignments for my documentary as a liberal arts class was to pick a documentary on the TV and choose it. So there was one called White Like Me, and I was really curious about it. I was not the intended audience, obviously. Then we watched Trolls World Tour, Camera Person, Restrepo, Baraka, and Knives Out. I think the best movie for the month of February was obviously Scream 2022. I also want to say Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, I feel like it's really hard to pick between those two, but I'm gonna say Scream 2022 because that movie gave me all of the tension when watching it in theaters. And international movie theaters, like, I didn't know that they had intermissions in between movies, or maybe it was just Malta, but there was an intermission and the entire movie theater went black before an ad played, and we started freaking out. Also, Jenna Ortega. This was the year of Jenna Ortega. I feel like everyone is saying that, but she showed up in so many of the movies I watched this year, and I'm really happy for her. Next month is March. I watched 13 movies. So it started with Samsara, which is another documentary, then Encanto, The Batman, Uncharted, The Suicide Squad 2021, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Searching for Sugar Man, Tupac Resurrection. There was a movie for global studies about pirate ships and illegal fishing. I don't remember the name. It's not even in my notes. Sing 2. I absolutely adored Sing 2. Untitled by Michael Glawiger, Blackhead Cow, and The Stories We Tell. So this was another jam-packed month. I would say that the favorite watch, like The Batman, was a really fun story around the movie. Like, we watched The Batman in Portugal, and it was in English with Portuguese subtitles, but like getting to the mall where the movie theater was and then watching the movie and then finding out that like the mall closed while we were in the theater and that the train station closed, and like we were actually like 3 minutes late to this train station, so it was fully closed for the night. And someone let us in because we were obviously foreign and didn't know, and he was really nice. But that was such a crazy night for us. And then, honestly, favorite to watch besides the Batman might be Searching for Sugar Man, because that movie was, the story behind that movie is so amazing. And now we're in April. In April, I watched 10 movies, starting with The Tinder Swindler. So at this point in April, it was the time where classes were kind of over. So as classes are over, we did our final. So our Professor Kodrick, was like, okay, like, let's pick a documentary or a semi-doc to watch. And Mira had suggested The Tinder Swindler. And we used, I think, Kiva or Mira's phone to watch it, and we hooked it up to the TV, and that was just such a crazy story. Like, he bamboozled so many women and got away with it. Like, that was it. The story just makes me mad. The Hustle, which is the movie with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson, I'd never seen it, and like Layla and Juliet had, so that was an introduction to me. This was at the airport. I watched 2 movies flying from Germany to New Jersey, and one of them was Blue Bayou. This was my first time watching Blue Bayou, and I ugly cried. Like, I was already feeling emotional because I had just left, like, this once-in-a-lifetime trip. I missed my friends, and then I watched Blue Bayou, and I'm feeling all these, like, emotions heightened. It was crazy. I watched Pixels. I don't know why. Pixels is, like, a comfort movie for me. That's such a random comfort movie, but ever since that movie came out, I watch it a lot. The Fallout, Injustice, Vixen, and A Cinderella Story. I also rewatched On the Ship, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Encanto, but I didn't write it down for some reason, so I got confused. But I did, in fact, watch those that month, but I forgot to put them down. May. So now we're in May. I actually only watched 2 movies in May, which was pretty shocking. But I watched The Fallout again, and then I watched Crush, the movie with Rowan Blanchard and Aloe Carvalho, the like woman love woman movie. Very much enjoyed. This was after I had obsessed over Heartstopper a lot, so I was like, oh, give me more. Now we're in June. So I watched 8 movies in June. I started with Justice League Flashpoint Paradox because Layla had never seen it, and Chris and I were like, no, you don't understand. And then we watched Fast 5, and Layla and I watched Cinderella Story's Starstruck because I didn't know they made another one, and they made another one with Bailey Madison, and I was like, what the heck? Like, I did not know they made another one. So I watched it because I love the Cinderella Story series. I think now that they've moved them to all being musical ones, it's less interesting, but who knows? And then I watched Turning Red. So during the time on the ship, I did not watch Turning Red, but I was obsessed with this because red pandas are actually my favorite animal. This is my red panda from 8th grade. I think I got this in 8th grade at the Philadelphia Zoo. So red pandas have always been my favorite animal. Yeah, then there was a freaking Disney movie where there was a red panda, and I was like, there's no way. No way. So then I wanted a stuffed animal before I had even seen the movie, and then the movie came out while we were abroad, and I was like, I can't watch it while we're abroad. I have to watch it at home. And then Lauren bought this for me, and it's literally the best gift I've ever had. Turning Red rant over. No, it's not. Another thing I just want to talk about when talking about Turning Red is definitely Four Town. Like, I love Four Town. I love Picture. Like, it was also like this was a year for like mainstream, but like less mainstream for music. It was also a year for music. On the Flash, he was the last series, and then no, they were in Turning Red rant officially over now. I also watched Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen because I personally like White House Down more than Olympus Has Fallen, but they made a series out of Olympus Has Fallen, so if I'm gonna watch one, I have to watch the other ones too. And then Turning Red again and Sing 2 again, because I bought Sing 2 because it wasn't on Netflix yet. I purchased it so I could watch it again. My favorite movie for June would be Turning Red. Just in case you didn't know. Okay, on to July. July I only watched 3 movies. This is kind of where it started slowing down. I am still watching things, like I'm watching a lot of TV during this time, but like I really, like my watch time went down during the summer. I watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That movie was so disappointing. Yeah, like, I don't know. Watching that movie, like, especially as someone who, like, loves superhero stuff, and I'm such a big superhero fan, it was just kind of upsetting that, one, the trailers misled me and made me think that Doctor Strange was, like, evil, anachronism, or, like, from another world. I thought, like, they made it seem like the evil Doctor Strange was gonna be put in a lot more than, like, 5 minutes. I didn't like how easily Wanda was able to kill the other universe's Captain Marvel. Like, that didn't make sense, because Captain Marvel is one of the strongest beings. And then also I heard, like, rumblings about the fact that they didn't want the Scarlet Witch to be the villain here, how she was actually supposed to be the villain for the Avengers further down the line, and the only reason that she became the villain now is because the director was like, no, I want her to be the villain now. Because, like, I think if they explored her trauma and just how she was feeling about everything, I feel like her becoming a villain would have been a lot more believable than it was. Also, they killed her. I watched Soul Surfer. I don't know why. It was on Netflix and I was like, I want to watch Soul Surfer. And, like, I don't know, something about the movie makes me cry every time I watch it. It's a good cry movie. And then I watched Nope. This was, like, I know some people have negative opinions when it comes to this movie. This movie is phenomenal. This is one of the best movies to exist. Like, it was so good. And I want to just keep watching it. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, because it's crazy because there are so many people in my life who, like, didn't like it. But I loved Nope. That's my favorite movie of the month, if that wasn't obvious. On to August. In August, I watched only 6 movies, and of the 6, 2 of them were in Martha's Vineyard, because my family goes there every year. So, first one was The Gray Man. We all just kind of watched it downstairs. Like, I love what the Russo brothers have done for the Marvel Universe and everything, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but The Gray Man is such a cash cow in certain ways. Like, I feel like the movie could have been so much more than it was. Like, I just, like, the B plot wasn't fully developed in my opinion. We're supposed to, like, feel the connection between him and the little girl, and I didn't. And we just have, like, creepy stash Chris Evans, and I was supposed to be rooting for Ryan Gosling, and I don't know. It wasn't good for me. Then the other thing I watched in Martha's Vineyard was actually the premiere of Al Sharpton's Loudmouth documentary. My mom wanted me to buy tickets for it so the 2 of us could go see it. It is so good. I don't even know if it's, like, out publicly yet, but it is such a good documentary, and it's so insane. Because, like, Al Sharpton has obviously been alive for a very long time, but it is, like, my entire life I've known of Al Sharpton because of my mom, and, like, I've known about him during the protests, and I've known about him before that, and it's crazy how, like, long you can go back into an entire log of his whole life. Like, it was a really good doc. I really liked it. I really liked it. And then I watched Coco. I feel like no one talks about Coco anymore because Encanto is out, but Coco is still really good. Still makes me cry. Big Hero 6 also makes me cry. You can see I was in a crying mood. Then I watched How to Train Your Dragon 2. That's actually the first time I've ever seen it. I never watched past How to Train Your Dragon. And Mira and Chris were like, how have you never seen the second and third one? You have to watch it. And then I watched the second one and I was like, I hate you guys. Like, this made me sad. Or is that the third one? I think the third one makes me more sad. Whichever one his dad dies in. That shit was crazy. And then Kung Fu Panda 2. On to September. In September, I officially watched 8 movies. I watched Not Okay on Hulu. This movie was really interesting because I saw all the discourse around it on YouTube. Like, when most movies come out on Hulu, I feel like they don't get a lot of hype except for, like, the reaction channels doing their run through, but I feel like a lot more people analyze Not Okay for its style and for its commentary on society, specifically because like they used a lot of TikTok and other like young social media methods. They also like based Danny off of people like following trends only, and it's absolutely insane how she was following trends that were current at the time and her outfits almost still look old. Like, the styling of that movie is so amazing, and just like the other characters are more interesting. The whole point is like she's an unlikable main protagonist, and like the fact that she doesn't get a redemption at the end is more realistic, and I actually really liked it. And this is also the movie that kind of, I think, blew Reese, or like, I think his name is like a guy with a camera. I think that's what it is. But I had been following Reese on TikTok. I deleted TikTok, so I don't follow anyone anymore. But he was a PA. He was working as a PA on A Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in New York. And I was really interested in that because I wanted to PA in New York, and I was just curious about what he did on the show. And then, you know, he just got a lot of opportunities afterwards because I feel like the Not Okay movie specifically going forward like really thrusted him into stardom, because not only did he get like a cameo in it, but like when they went on morning shows and when they showed him like doing the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I think he is shown at Good Morning America when they're like interviewing Zoe Deutsch. Like, it's really interesting. Next movie, Marry Me. That one has Owen Wilson and J-Lo. What could I say about that movie? It's a really cheesy romance movie, and it was just like something like, it feels like I would read that in a book, and I liked that. I did. And Maluma, like, I just liked that movie. One Child Nation is another movie I watched. Coach Carter. Do Revenge. Oh, this is when Do Revenge came out. Do Revenge came out, and it definitely got a lot more noise than Not Okay. I think that's specifically because of the styling in the movie. Also, Netflix like pulled out every single like teen actor pretending to be teen actor they could. Like, the amount of like people from other shows that were in that. Do Revenge definitely took over social media as well. Then I watched Dumplin'. I have the book up there somewhere. I never read past Dumplin', but this was like from the era where they were taking books and making them into Netflix movies, and Dumplin' turned out much better than The Duff, so that's what I watched in September. Next is October. October is actually the month where I watched the most, which is a little strange because I was the busiest. I don't think I was like in the same place for more than a week. 3 concerts. I worked on a full 3-day weekend set. There was just a lot going on in October. You're not allowed to judge me for what I'm about to say in October, because this is what I watched. Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, Halloween Town High, Return to Halloween Town, My Little Ponies Equestria Girls, My Little Pony Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, My Little Pony Equestria Girls The Friendship Games, My Little Pony Equestria Girls Legends of Evermore, Twitches 2, Zombies 1, 2, and 3. Never seen the Zombies movies before, and I watched all of them back to back, and I spam texted Chris and Lauren my live reactions to it. One, because Chandler Kinney, who's in the Pretty Little Liars Original Sin TV show, I wanted to support the movie she's in. Two, I if I didn't do this, I would have never watched them. So I was like, fuck it. The School for Good and Evil, I have that not box set, I have that book series literally right here, and you can't see it. I started when I was 14 and I ended when I was 20. All of the books in that series. I love that book series so much, and I was so excited that they were finally making a movie for it, except for the fact that they filmed and then deleted the scene where Kerry Washington would have told Sophia Wiley that she's beautiful on the inside and that's what matters, and how like she's not like, okay, the whole point of the book series, like, without going into detail, because like I really do want people to read the books, but there's a specific scene where Agatha, our main character, who's been like very much mistreated her entire life, is told like that she's beautiful for the first time, and she thinks that it's because of a spell, but the truth is like she's just beautiful because she's smiling and she's not hating on herself and being self-deprecating. And I just thought that that scene would have been so magical with our main character being a black girl, and like they literally deleted it. The one scene that I was excited to see, they got rid of. Also, this whole like blood magic thing that they have during Sophie's transformation, like I'm not Jewish, so I can't speak for it whether it was or wasn't, but a lot of people were saying it was anti-Semitic. Also, it wasn't in the book. Then I watched Intergalactic, the Kid Cudi animated movie. Oh, because I went to CultureCon. This month, and they were talking about the movie, and they talked about behind the scenes and stuff, and I was really interested. And then I watched Black Adam with my family, and like other people hated it. I've seen a lot of reaction videos about how this movie's bad. The movie's pretty good. Like, I think for Dwayne The Rock Johnson to want to start a Black Adam cinematic universe, like, he didn't need to do all that. I think as a standalone superhero movie, a lot of it was really good, but the parts that were bad are the parts that needed to be good for it to be a good movie. So I acknowledge that. I do. It wasn't great, but I enjoyed it. But I also grew up watching very trashy superhero CW shows. So my standards are like on the floor. Just saying. Like, when it comes to live action superhero movies, my standards aren't that high. So the last thing I watched in October was Halloween Ends, and I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of other people had other things to say about it, which is completely understandable. But I think if we compared it to Halloween Kills, I absolutely love this movie so much more. And it was good. Like, I love good horror movies, and the problem is, like, Halloween Ends as a finale for the Halloween trilogy that basically was redone. I'm calling it a trilogy because like Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends are like it compared to like all the other Halloween movies before it. And I do think that it was a lot better done than the last. Like, Halloween Kills is not like, objectively, I don't think many people like Halloween Kills, but Halloween Ends was pretty good, and I know it doesn't get the amount of recognition that I think it should get. But that's just my opinion. So my favorite movie for the month of October, I think I'm gonna say Halloween Ends, just because it's one of the only new movies I watched this month. I think it's really easy to be like, oh, my favorite movie was Halloween Town, because Halloween Town's a classic. But I actually really liked Halloween Ends, so I'm gonna go with that one. Now we're in November. November was my shortest month. There is literally only 2 movies on here, and it's Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I can explain. Something that's very, like, I would say known, not known about me. I relate to Shuri on a level that a lot of people may not have going into this. My older brother passed away a year ago, and the emotions that Shuri was feeling from the beginning were very much already ingrained. And so I started crying the first minute of the movie, and I cried the entire time. And I have no shame in that. Like, but I think watching that movie definitely messed me up, where I was like, nah, I don't need to watch movies. I'm done. Like, I think I was like emotionally tapped out for the month. So I watched it. I watched it with my mom before she went to Egypt, and my brother was with us, and like my whole family went. And yeah, that was it. I was not gonna watch anything else. No ma'am. And then Harry Potter, like, the box set for Harry Potter is even higher up than The School for Good and Evil, but it's up there. And Harry Potter is like surprisingly mindless, and I don't have to think. I can just put Harry Potter in the background. It's like background noise because I know it so well. And then we're in December. December I watched 7 movies, and for the most part, the movies were on a cruise. So I think a lot of people, when they go on vacation or like whatever, they like to just be out and like do things. I'm not like that, like, at all. I love to be by myself. I love to be like holed up in a hotel room. While on the cruise, I feel like that was especially true. Like, I'd go out in the morning, get a meal, go back to my room, maybe go out for a few minutes, go back inside. And the real time where I went out, like, was bingo or when we were on land. So because of that, I did watch a few movies in the hotel. I mean, in the cabin, I guess is the boat word. And they were good, except for when they were like pausing every 5 seconds. So, but the 2 that I didn't watch on the ship were Bodies, Bodies, Bodies and X. So A24 girl, ooh. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is a movie that I'd wanted to see for a real long time, and I was waiting for it to just become available, and it still wasn't, so I just rented it. At that point I was like, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna rent it on Amazon Prime. And I watched it. It's hilarious. It's literally gaslighting. It's crazy. Like, I didn't expect it. And I also really wanted to watch the Dead Meat podcast episode about it, so had to get it out the way. But yeah, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies was a really subversive whodunit. And then X, I had seen the kill count for it before I watched it. Even though James H. Niece says not to do that. I'm sorry. But I really, like, I hadn't seen it yet. And so I watched X. I still haven't seen Pearl. So in the new year, watching Pearl and then Maxine when it comes out, since they're finishing the trilogy with Maxine. But the amount of people who dressed up as, like, Pearl or Maxine for Halloween was crazy. But yeah, X is a really good movie. I love horror movies. I don't watch horror movies as casually as I watch other movies, so I'm trying to get back into that just because I have anxiety. I can't watch horror movies and then go to work, so we're working on times to watch them where I can, like, not have heart palpitations in my sleep, you know? The huge. And then the new Mutants. I don't even remember what year this movie came out, but I hadn't seen it. And I was like, why haven't I seen it? And I had heard really bad things. Just like how I watched Dark Phoenix this year, I was like, I'm gonna watch New Mutants. That was another one that I should have watched. It was not good. And I'm not sure if that's specifically because of the quality of my cabin TV on rough water, but as someone who loves the old X-Men movies despite everyone else hating them, the fact that I don't like the New Mutants actually upset me. Like, I really wanted to like it, and I tried really hard to like it. But the bear thing, like, her, like, I've heard the story. I love that we had a Native American main character. And I've heard the story of, like, the good bear and the bad bear and the good of us and the bad of us. I'm a little confused how that her mutant power, like, you know, like, there starts when her mutant powers aren't fully explained and they don't make sense. And the weird lab footage that, like, when she was reading, I forget her name. Bro, this is how much this movie didn't make sense to me. I don't even remember names. I always remember names. The weird doctor lady, when she was getting her mind read by our main character, the footage that they use looks so shitty. Like, I can't explain. I'm still very confused by that movie. I feel like I should watch it again. And I understand what they were trying to do, but, like, because of the mutants that I, like, had seen already, and I feel like I've read, like, I have X-Men comics. Like, I'm not, because most of the comics came out, like, before I was born. It's not like I'm never gonna say that I'm, like, a comic book expert or whatever the fuck. But there is just things where I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me and what I know about the MCU. And then from the beginning, I was like, Charles Xavier would literally never treat them like this. Why are they trying to convince me that they are training to be X-Men? And, like, it was stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't like it. And then the war with Grandpa, my brother randomly came in our room and just started playing the movie, and it was okay. It's like a comedy. And then Avatar. My mom wanted to watch Avatar again to prepare her for the new Avatar movie, because, again, we were not able to watch it because we were on a ship, but it's still a very beautiful, vibrant, colorful movie. It's still really good. It's very much a basic plot when you really think about it, but that's the point, because the visuals are more important. So I have no negative things to say about it. Jake Sully is a little boring, but I feel like Jake Sully being boring is not new. That's just reinventing the wheel. So I'm not going to say anything else. And then Free Guy. Free Guy came out this year. I don't remember what month it actually came out in. I had no desire to go see it. I had no desire to watch it. My mom put it on the TV. I watched it. Joe Keery. If Joe Keery created an AI that was in love with me, because he's secretly in love with me, like, I don't know. That'd be life. The last thing I wrote on here is Heart of Champions. I'm going to get my phone so I can read you what I said about this movie, because it's absolutely insane. Heart of Champions. What the fuck? This is the saddest goddamn sports movie ever. Alexander Ludwig is always the fucking villain. How dare he ruin this happy boy's life? I'm sad. Tears are streaming. This movie came out in 2021 and I had heard nothing of it. And the only reason I clicked it is because it was literally Alexander Ludwig and Charles Melton. And Alexander Ludwig, for some reason, is in every sports movie. I'm saying that. I only mean When the Game Stands Tall. I don't know if he's in other sports movies besides When the Game Stands Tall. But Alexander Ludwig is in a sports movie about rowing. Everything I know about rowing is from Edie, Taylor, and Sierra. Those are the 3 rowers in my life. So I knew some of it. I knew some of the terms. Bro, I like don't want to talk about this movie because I want you to watch it, but literally it just kept getting worse. How do you make a... Why are sports movies so sad is the first thing. Like, why can't we have a sports movie that's like somewhat okay? And then the other thing is, why is Alexander Ludwig always a terrible person? But yeah, that movie completely messed me up. It was traumatizing, very sad. I cried a lot. And then I couldn't find out online if it was based on a true story or not. And that made me even more sad because I was like, this could be freaking real. And I hope the guy that Alexander Ludwig is playing like feels remorse. Like, God. Those are all of the movies that I watched in 2022. And honestly, it was a lot. I usually don't keep track of this, but I wanted to keep track this year. My friend Elizabeth always talks about all the movies she watches every year. So I think I'm gonna create a letterbox and mark all the ones I watched this year there. And yeah, and follow me on Letterbox, I guess.